Hey, I just kind of wanted to do this. I'm starting to take this thing apart. This motor was pulled out of an NAPT cruiser, okay? So this one I believe was, I think an 05. So it's the 2.4, it's a dual overhead cam engine. I'm starting to get things separated and pulled apart. So I'm going to show you what you can actually salvage off of these things and use on your NSRT4. And we got the pile started, we got a bracket, got some bolts, some other different parts, throttle body separate. I'm trying to just basically get everything that I'm going to toss right now. So here we go. All right, so your main differences are going to be that there's not going to be a hole here, and there's not going to be a hole here for the oil, and then your coolant over here, that is actually there for a block off. I guess some did run a cooler. As far as the engine block, I know there's not squirters inside. Just real quick, you can use this. Pretty much everything down the front of this, which would be timing gears, timing chain cover, time belt assembly is the same. The crank pulley, thermostat housing, the lower. This piece here, which is actually in pretty nice condition. The oil pan is exactly the same. I don't know, I believe there's some differences in the cylinder head, but I'll know more when I get that stuff pulled apart. Over here, your side plate, this and the bolts for that will be the same, okay? Exhaust manifold bolts will be the same. These are the same for the side plate. You can use the pigtails off the top of this. I don't know if these sensors cross over, but that is a replacement one. It does have a little break in it. So right now, this is what we got that's trash, which is going to be the intake, the heat shielding, gasket, obviously, the flywheel, the intake and injectors we're not going to use, and we're not going to use this manifold. Now, I'm just trying to get rid of everything that I know I'm not going to use for sure. All right, so getting the engine more pulled apart. We have the cams removed, so we have all our cam caps lined up the way they need to go back on. I believe from what I'm finding, the cams themselves are different. The head is actually the same. Now, like I said, this is, I think, 03. It's 03 or newer. Everything slowly working its way off here. And we're going to see what we actually have, if there's anything good inside this motor other than the outside bits. But we got timing cover, lower dampener, cam gears. Timing tensioner is actually the same. All of these bolts are all the same. The noise isolator, same. So it looks like, you know what I mean, if you wanted to reuse this pump, you probably could. We are, well, I am very close to getting this cylinder head pulled off. I just grabbed the 15 mil. We're going to start popping these bolts. We're going to pull the cylinder head off, have a look down inside, see if everything's good. Like I said, I don't know the history or the condition of this motor. I just was told that it was like 30-some thousand miles are on it, and I believe it was overheated. I'm not sure, but didn't hear it run, so hopefully we have something good here. I looked up some numbers. It says the crank is the same. Basically, the block is the same. It's just not machined for the oil fittings here. So you have to put those, you have to get them in. And there's no oil squirters inside the block. So let's get this head off, see what else we can find. All right, cross-referencing some numbers. All right, you got 4667086AG-D. Not sure what that is. And then over here we have 4667088AG-D. So it's the same number. On the block we have 4781632A okay. Now over here we have 47 81632AB. Same number. So, same block, even though it's not drilled for the oil bosses. Part number. Same on the head. These pistons actually look really close to the stock NSRT4 piston, the way they're domed like that. But it's just been too long since I've looked at one to know what they look like. But I do have one. Once I get these out, I can do a side-by-side comparison of them too. All right, well, back at this motor here, I did pull the crank gear off because they are exactly the same as the SRT4s. Like I said, the oil pan is. I looked at the part number for the crank. It does interchange. The block was pretty much the same. So I'm going to get this oil filter housing pulled off. We're going to pull the pan and we're going to take a look at it inside. All right, pan's off. Looks the same inside the pan. Now, the balance chain shaft assembly looks the same, but I can tell you right now, looking down in here at this rod, it is totally different so far from what I see. Looks like the oil pickup is the same. So I'm going to work on getting the oil pump off, which we already know is the same. The pickup will be the same. The balance chain shaft assembly is the same. So let's get this off and let's take a look at what we can see down inside here. We're back here working on getting this engine torque apart. Like I said, the block is the same. There's a lot of similarities between the NA and the turbo. All right, so the crank is the same. We just pulled out, this is all the bed plate bolts. I'm just going to be putting them back in there after I get the crank out. This is the rod bolts, or the rod caps with half the bearing that's in there. I just gave the bed plate a tap. So let's set this stuff off to the side. Let's get this thing out of here. Do a little bit more. There we go. So everything looks good. Doesn't look like anything was spun. Bearings are perfect. Very nice. Put this in here backwards. This way. There's our center. Huh. Very nice. That one was very pretty. Okay, let's push our remain off there. Got a bit of oil in it. Pick that butte up out of here. Man, all this is really nice. All right. I can see where the mounts go for the squirters, which I'll show you as soon as I wipe my hands off. All right, now, bed plate is very nice looking down in there. We've looked at that. The bearings look like they're in very good shape. The condition of this block right here, very nice. None of these bearings spun. Right over here, you can kind of see a little bit better on this one because there's no oil, but that squirter would be there, and then there would be like a threaded hole for the squirter to go to the bottom of the piston. So all I have to do now yet is I can actually set the bed plate back on, which was what my plan was. I can flip this up and I can get these rods out. I'll grab a factory SRT4 rod and piston, and we can do a side-by-side comparison so you can see what the difference is there. All right, I was working on getting a lot of stuff here cleaned up. So this right here This is, I don't have the bottom cap. It's sitting in the old pan where this came from. This is an NSRT4 piston. You can take notice of the dome on the top. It does have some coating on the sides. The rod here looks a little wider than that one. So let's set these side by side. Here's your side by side view. You can see that we have considerable width here compared to here. The size of this rod up here is larger than that. The piston, the skirting here is a little different. You can tell by looking at it. This actually has filter holes here, I guess, for wiping. Take a look up underneath the bottom of the piston there. Totally different. It's weird. This one looks like it's wider here than this one. Here's the other side. This has an FF, and it does have like these ports here. That's an F. I don't know. It kind of looks like a money sign, doesn't it? So you have that there. You can see that we did. This one started to have a little bit of contact there. This is the one that was the worst. We had a spot here where this one was contacting. This one here was just really, really black on the top. So, I mean, that just, you can kind of see the difference. I wish I would have had a bottom cap, because this one here it's totally a different shape. It's not flat. And you can tell, look at the end here. This one here is kind of wrapped around. These are all, I guess what they call this, they're cast, and then they're what's called a broken rod, I believe. And then they just, you know, go together like that. So I'm not keeping any of these rods. They're all nothing that I'm going to use. Plus, almost all these pistons are no good. So we're down to finding out, can this block be machined? We know we can drill and open up the oil ports, and as long as it can be bored and it's not too much more than like 20 or 30 over in the bores, it is a good block that can be used and modified to accept the oil feed and return lines and used in an NSRT4 for boost. Same part number, guys. All right, I'm going to finish cleaning up this mess. I'm going to coat those walls and the journals in the bottom with grease, and then get this thing in a bag and set it off to the side. The balance chain shaft assembly is 100% the same as the turbo engine. I did not see anything different in there. Most of the time I pull them and throw them away. As nice and clean as that one is, I don't know. Maybe I'll just throw it in a bag. Someone might need it. All right, that's it. It's what works.